What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Core Podcast, covering all things Apple TV Plus. My name is Jim, and I'm joined by my co-hosts Luke and Kyle. And today we continue our coverage of Apple TV Plus's Foundation Season 3. Today we're covering Season 3, Episode 3, titled "When a Book Finds You." Luke, Kyle, you know I love doing this for you, Luke. I want you to go first. You haven't had a chance to go first, except for this season. What do you do? Go.
We're on autopilot, baby. This is just all great content. Every episode's going to hit from here on out. I'm pretty confident after 3. I want to even go as far to say that I think that this version of Day is the best version of Day already through 3 episodes compared to all the other seasons and all the other Cleons we've already seen. And I want to say that this Dawn has potential to be the best Dawn as well. The Dusk, it's still yet to be seen. He's an interesting character, but these 3 Cleons are just so entertaining to watch, and every single time they're on the screen, it's just magic. And man, I could just go on a monologue about this version of Day and how interesting he is, how different he is from what we've seen in the past, how cool he looks with his long hair flowing in his fur robes. Like he's just and I'm sure every season we get a new version of him. If we do get more versions of him, he's just going to hit every single one of them out of the park. Lee Pace is such a star that I can't believe he hasn't been on my radar outside of Guardians of the Galaxy besides this. Like, I would almost watch anything he's in because of the performance he's giving here, because I know he's just such a good actor. And that really shined in this episode. I thought this episode was awesome. I'm a big fan of what's going on with Calgon too, at least Torin, the character, and Beta, I think her name is. I think they're going to be really good characters. I was a little concerned that they were going to be super selfish, but it actually seems they have more like they're more moral, and they care about what's going on past just being the rich people that I thought they were. So maybe there's potential there for them to keep being on that trajectory, and I think they're going to be fun characters. But overall, fantastic episode. I feel like I say this every time. I'll continue to say this because this show is so damn good. Kyle?
Yeah, it feels like the only person that had a bad episode was probably Big Pritch. Hate to see our boy go out like that. That happens pretty early in the episode, I feel like, and I was kind of like, damn, I was really excited for this party, and that is going to be all we get. But thankfully, the Mallow and Beta end up kind of saving some things there. But yeah, it's just super enjoyable. I love the answers that we get about the Gale and Dawn stuff. I know we'll obviously talk about that in more detail. It's just it's just a good show. There's really not much else to say.
I think you guys both dropped the mic. I don't need to say too much besides the fact that I also love this episode. Luke, I have a quick question for you. When you say this is the best Day, is it because I'm Day currently right now?
You know it is. You're my favorite uncle too.
But also, the real question is it because he's your favorite version, or do you actually think it's the best version?
No, he's definitely, I mean, best for who? Like, best for the Foundation,
right.
probably. Best for the Empire, definitely not. But I think, like, in terms of depth and just how interesting he is, he keeps upgrading his own character work each season. And I think this is by far the most depth and layers he has. He's feeling a little Crixus oniony here, where there's just a lot more to him, and it feels like he could go anywhere he wants, and it's really fun.
Listen, okay, any member of the Core, any listener of the Core that can hit us on Discord right now, bingetowntv.com/Discord, and tell us what that Crixus line was from, we will send you a t-shirt. We'll figure out a way to send you a t-shirt. And you can't, and I'm sorry, you can't be one of the homies that we know you know. It has to be someone that's just listening on the Core. If you've been listening to Bingetown for 5 years, well, I don't even know what to say. We're going to hook you up, okay? We love you forever. But yes, I agree. This Day is just so damn interesting. I was going to argue and not say necessarily favorite or best, but we've talked about it. The Day that goes on the long walk, the quest, that day had a lot of potential, but we just didn't really get to see that come to fruition as much. But let's just get started. Let's do the damn thing.
All right, we're going to hit Calgon first because there's really only one huge scene that we're going to get here, and it's going to be everything to do with the party that the MULE throws to really meet all of the aristocrats and just get to know everybody of the in the upper elites of Calgon. And this was just a lot of fun. I'm a huge fan of EDM, so the music vibe was doing it for me. We got this a new character, Magnifico Gigantus. What you guys will correct me how I pronounce that, but he was giving me some Mad Max vibes here, like the craziness along with like the futuristic, just hecticness of whatever was going on here. And I like that they threw in futuristic instruments here. Like I don't know what the hell he was doing, but it
Yeah.
looked awesome. So we're just going to kind of talk through all of this, and I guess it can go into two parts, which is everything to do with Big Pritch. And Kyle kind of already queued it up at the beginning of this, where he does not have a good episode. He is not really in it for too much, but he's very ambitious. He sees where the mule is. He's posted up with all of his thugs, and he's just going to approach him and try and figure out what the deal is, get as much information as he can and bring that back to the Foundation. But he kind of takes like 2 steps into his territory. And what I've been calling out, which I love, is the mule's aura of just mentalic abilities, that they use the cool cinematography to kind of blur the edges to show that it's actually having an effect. Just a really cool idea. It almost, if you're a One Piece fan out there, it's like hockey. Like he just has like this aura around him that you can't really sneak up on him, even if he looks unassuming and he's sitting there drinking and everything. Really cool. He has the princess that's under his mind control sitting right next to him, and he's just having a good time drinking. So I'll pass it over to you guys of your reactions. I guess let's start with Jimmy, because Kyle already gave a quick thought on Big Pritch. But what did you think, and how'd you feel about how this ended? Because to me, it really surprised me, the little screen time that he got here on this planet.
Very, very, very surprised. Very small episode for Big Pritch. Very big episode for Beta and Torn, because, like you guys said, the layers. We're getting some more layers from 2 characters that I assumed we would get some more from, but obviously their introduction wasn't giving you too much hope for them. It started with the party scene where you're thinking, okay, Big Pritch is just straight up using them. They seem very, okay, it's a party, let's go do our thing, not really interested as much. And it's really the reaction of what happens to Big Pritch that gets Torn and Beta more interested. But my question for you guys to start here is, Big Pritch walks into this aura and it affects him. And then the mule, who, by the way, I'm won over. He won me over. I'm good.
I think
He's
so
the
too.
freaking man. He is. Now, again, he's still not the mule that we've saw in seasons 1 and 2. There's a different vibe. And whether they just cognizantly just decided to change the vibe, or if he will change himself as the years, or however long, I guess it's not years, it's months, however long the time goes, maybe his demeanor does change, but he is different. But he's winning me over. I really, really like this mule. But is this aura something that affects you when you have an ill intention towards the mule? Like, how come Torin was able to walk right through it? Was it just because he had that chill vibe where he was just going to see what's good and he didn't even know that there was a problem? He just knows that he wants to go hang with the mule? Or did Big Pritch, I'm part of the Foundation, I'm trying to get some espionage going on? Is that why it affected him?
Well, he says to Big Pritch, "You're like me."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm interpreting that as maybe Big Pritch is a mentalic and just doesn't really know it. Or maybe he knows it and is keeping it a secret, or, something like that. That's the way I interpreted that.
I took that, okay, and I love that, actually. That would be sweet for Big Pritch. I took that more as, like, characteristically, he's trying to say, like, he got into his mind and was like, you're ambitious like me, I see what you're trying to do, or something like that. But I don't know. If he's catching another mentalic, that would make sense.
I thought the same thing as Kyle, and we can't think of a way. I'm just thinking out loud right now on the spot. There's no way that he's some descendant of Sal in any way, right? We already kind of ruled that out, and it can't really be Gale anymore. So I guess he's just a random mentalic, because that's the side I'm leaning on, and that's obviously not confirmed yet. But the reason it can't be just ill intentions is because Torin had ill intentions, and there was, like you said, no impact. So there's going to be more nuance to it, and the way he gets affected by it was like pretty extreme. Like his whole eye was bloodshot. He ditches like right away. It's almost like he just got like his mind destroyed right there. So it kind of docks a little bit how I feel about Big Pritch in terms of just like a strong-willed guy, because like he really got proved a little. He got a little Boyd right there. It's a good way to say it, and he really ditched. I don't even know where he's going. I guess he's just going to go right back to the new foundation and then tell the leader and then start spreading the message, and maybe that's how we can link back in Harry Seldon and the Vault. But I really don't know, because he reacted way more negatively than I thought he was going to.
I think him being a Mentalic too lends a little bit of credence to what we talked about the end of episode 1, and then on last podcast episode with some help from our good friend Ponyl65 on YouTube, of that Big Pritch could be someone that's kind of filling that Sal-shaped hole in the history, in the situation. You know, we know Sal was a Mentalic, not nearly as strong as Gale, but she had some of those powers as well. So, you know, is the situation, is history, is psycho history kind of calling out for another Mentalic to be by Gale's side in the way that Sal would have been? I just feel like it's another feather potentially in that cap of a theory.
And Big Pritch being a Mentalic would be very interesting, everybody drink, because I'm assuming he wouldn't know that he's one, because he's part of Foundation 1, and Mentalics are mostly or fully a secret to Foundation 1 on Terminus. So maybe he is like, you know, underlying Mentalic and doesn't even realize it. And when we're in this situation, and if the Mule noticed he was a Mentalic, maybe he big dogged him, like you said, Luke, but then also just pushed him out. Not necessarily, you know, I mean, we know the deal. Unless you're designed, I'm guessing, if you're not practiced in fighting and defending the Mule, he may be able to get many people, even if it could be Gale. I mean, we don't know.
So how about this, which just popped into my head? What if he implanted some? Are we going to just call it compulsion? Because I love that, because it's Wheel of
Yeah,
Time
no, I
callback.
like compulsion. Yeah,
Compulsion. So what if he used his compulsion and literally, after reading his mind and figuring out that he's from the Foundation 1, New Terminus, said, go back to Foundation 1 and like kill the leader or something like that. And that's why he just turned around and just left without even stopping to do anything, because that's the mission he was given. Because that would actually explain things. I would be okay with that explanation.
And I don't know how deep it's going to get, but I took it as the Mule was compulsing him just to get the hell out of here. I'm going to show you who the big dog is and get the hell out. That's my hope, because like you guys said, Big Pritch pretty much wussed out right quick.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, the next thing that's very important here is he asks, who's Gale Dornick?
Yeah.
Is this the first time the Mule is having the seed planted?
Again, it feels like it's so hard to know what point of the process this Mule is in, you know, because we know that Gale went and like visioned into the future and met him, but like that stuff hasn't happened yet.
Right.
And so this Mule wouldn't know about Gale. But then you look at the end scene of season 2, and we don't know where that scene fits into the timeline of stuff. And again, it was a different actor, so it's kind of difficult. My gut feeling is that the ending scene of season 2 happened before this party scene. Although I don't know how that, because I guess just seems like the easiest A to B connection of why the Mule would know who Gale is, because I don't think Big Pritch would know who she is. Because I would say the other, if the Mule doesn't know who Gale is, I feel like he would have maybe read her in Pritch's mind, and maybe he read Gale through Pritch's mind, because Gale is doing what lady from season 2 did, of like sending out the voices to catch all the Mentalic. Tell him. Oh my God, tell him. How could I forget? Tell him. But maybe that. And I don't know, for whatever reason, the Mule isn't attuned to the frequency. I don't know what the actual like rules are to sending out the voice, the frequency to like get other Mentalics. But I just what is the answer for how he possibly knows who she is?
My guess on the board right now is that he's already having visions of Gale not knowing who Gale is. Like that's already happened, and that could have even been the catalyst that pushed him to become a warlord and start taking planets to deal with this what he envisions as a future threat to his life later. But until we get more information, it's tough to tell because they're gonna have to explain a lot if he read that from Big Pritch's mind.
Yeah, because if it's just surface level, Big Pritch is part of the Foundation, and he has Gale on his mind, then why wouldn't he have said Harry Seldon? I mean, I would hope the Mule would know who Harry Seldon is, just because it's the god of the Foundation. But I mean, Gale's up there too, but more for Foundation 2. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And
it's
she
tough. I
literally
mean, she's
says this
obviously
episode that nobody knows her
right,
about her
right.
on
She's
Foundation or
obviously
on
in yes, because she's 300 years later. She should be long gone.
yeah.
She's in the lore of the Foundation, but not someone that should be on the top in the forefront of Big Pritch's thoughts. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's tough. We'll have to wait and see.
Mhm.
But if it was the seed that was planted first, Big Pritch really had a big L.
Yeah.
That's true.
I agree.
Okay, let's talk about the rest of it then, because this is all just an action sequence and a really, really good conversation, at least for the Mule's character. And I'm sure this is why, Jimmy, you were saying that you're sold on the Mule. Is this
Yeah.
flighting conversation with Torin? It was so well done. The manic you see behind his eyes. It was a little Euron Greyjoy, I'm not gonna lie, but it also felt more calculated and sadistic at the same time, like where I can buy the type of character that can become a warlord like this and just have that type of just always being on the edge of insane versus sane and having a plan. And he knows how to work people, of course, like that's his specialty. But this whole conversation was great. And Beta's in the background seeing this all go wrong. And she ends up stealing Maggie and they jump off planet after the whole veil
Ooh.
falls. So
Did you just
she
make that
calls him
up?
that. No, she calls him that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I was like, damn, okay.
No, she calls
Should've
him
said
Maggie.
yes.
She's like, I got a Maggie, whatever. And they took him when they jumped off
Oh,
planet.
dude,
And
I
he's
let that
yeah.
dude, that went right over my head when she said that. Um, but I will say I'm still not over the Euron Greyjoy thing, even though I'm in on the Mule thing, right? I'm still not seeing them as two separate yet
Right.
because, I mean, it doesn't help that he's dressed like he is. He
Yeah.
uses a knife that he pulls out of a sheath in the later part of the episode. He's very warlordy, medievally. It's funny because my wife was kind of in the background when I'm watching, and she's like, "Is this like an old medieval show?" And I'm like, "Actually, it's very,
The
very in the
opposite.
future." Yeah, because he is dressed very, it's definitely
Dude,
Euron Greyjoy.
he also it might be only in the later scene, but Kyle, did you get Randall Thor Prince jacket when he's
Yeah, it
wearing the
looks like
red
it.
jacket?
Yeah,
Oh
with the
my
gold
god,
trim.
it looked so cool. But that's a side note. We'll get to that later. Back to this though, like the flighting and just how he reacted, just as a character. This gave you a lot, right? I honestly, it gave you a lot for Torin too, that he was willing to go this far, and then
Yeah,
he got that deep. So I thought it was just a great conversation for both the characters.
The little drones that Torin has are so interesting. I just didn't I couldn't tell what the mule was thinking about them either, because I feel like they would be things that he wouldn't be into, but also is he just so self-confident that it really doesn't matter? I mean, it obviously is why Torin gets away from him. So the drones are just interesting. I guess I just can't get over the fact that they feel like they're, well, again, shout out Superman. They seem like Mr. Terrific T-spheres a little bit,
yeah,
but
Oh yeah,
yeah.
of
yeah.
like cameras, like what is
I
actually
mean,
going on there? I don't really know.
I was taking the drones like we're on Instagram Live or something.
Yeah, right. Like he's live
Yeah.
streaming shit.
That's because when they said he's famous, I honestly thought that that's what they were doing. I thought that they were just broadcasting for his fans or something. But uh, I don't know. They
I don't
do
know.
say that, he's famous, meaning Torin. And they do say that the mule, if you're a warlord, you want infamy, you want to be famous, you're arrogant, you want all of that, you want the limelight. So that's why Torin thought he could slip in. And to your point, Luke, he did damn good, and it's tough. It's so tough with the mule now. It's like, are we gonna assume and we would have to like rewatch, like when Galactus gets compulsed to kill himself. Did we see the blur the whole time? Like, my question here is, are we going to have to always see the blur, or are we going to always be questioning whether somebody's being compulsed? Like, did the mule look Torn in the eyes and say, just tear me up, bro? Hit me with the insults. Or was Torn just that good?
No, I think
That's
they'll
a good
show us.
question.
I think that they'll show us. I think Torrin is that good in that sense. But
I would hope so, because
I really think that they're just gonna show us when it's actually happening. Because
Yeah.
again, they had the whole
Yeah.
scene that made the point of I can do this, but I also, through demonstration and other means can get people to do what I want. It doesn't always have to be the compulsion, using the mentalic the powers rather. So
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, memorable scene. I don't think I'll ever peel potatoes again
Yeah.
without
Yeah.
thinking about this scene. I mean, when he says, "Are you ready to like it?" I was like, "Sheesh."
That
And
was
this is-
going to be a preamble to him compulsing him, I think. Like he was about to compulse
right.
him.
So he wasn't at the
Yes.
time, we would assume here.
Yes.
Because again, A+ for our boy Torin. But yes, I mean, that was pretty much the moment, and you guys already said it. I mean, when he's looking him in the eyes and he's saying, "Are you ready to enjoy this? Are you ready to have this be the only thing you care about? Doing this for me
Mhm.
right now?" Woo! And also, I'm wondering, can the mule, like, what are his powers? Like, could he? And he wouldn't do this because he wants you to feel the pain. But could he say, like, peel your hand, but I don't want you to feel the pain? Can he? You think he could turn off pain for someone?
Have we seen Tullum do anything close to that? I can't really remember her.
No
Yeah, I
idea.
mean, it's a weird question to ask just because the whole point is he wants you to feel the pain. So, but
Yeah.
I was just thinking that. I'm like, oh, man.
I can't see why not, because if Tullum is able to freeze your body, I'm sure that has to do with the central nervous system, like paralyzing it. Like, why couldn't you turn that off?
Right.
But who
Right.
knows? Who knows?
Yeah. My final comment, I guess, before we move into the Trantor stuff was I think I was pleasantly surprised at the way the mule responds to all of this, losing Maggie. They all get away.
Mhm.
When he just says things were working out how they're meant to. He
Yeah.
didn't just like throw like a fit, like a little tantrum that sometimes you would expect a villain, especially a
Right.
villain in kind of his mold, to do. And I liked that. I liked that he was just like, okay.
He's like a fate warrior almost. Like he's just letting things happen. And then he even
Yeah.
says later in the episode, the only way you can like escape like your fate is like by killing is or something like that. We can talk about that quote later because that was a little off the chain. But yeah, I mean, if we're ready to go on, I only have one other comment I want to ask you guys about for this stuff. One comment, one question. The comment being that I think Beta has potential. She surprised me this episode. She seems like a cool
Mhm.
character. Don't have any other takes on her besides that. But is there any potential payoff for this Princess Scarlet thing?
In like a
just
positive way?
like she technically Princess Scarlet would be the highest ranking royal left on Calgon, and she's just his posse member now until he lets her kill herself. Is that like kind of what we're thinking?
I think she's just window dressing for how powerful he is right now.
Okay.
Yeah, truth be
Okay.
told, I don't think about her.
I
anymore.
don't think it matters. Yeah, I mean, besides the fact that she was pounding drinks for, I was
that's
like,
fair.
Jesus. I was like, Jesus. But yeah, because like, say the mule leaves the planet and leaves her, and you somehow get her uncompulsed. It's like, who cares? The Foundation can just take it themselves, or the Empire
Mhm.
can just take it themselves. You don't really need her to give a blessing just because she's royalty there. I don't know. I don't think she's going to be anything major except for just constantly showing his power. And I actually really liked the child actor because when things were happening, you could see her in the background, kind of like laughing or smiling, like
Yeah.
a little
Mhm.
menacing. And Maggie here, what do we think the payoff's going to be with Maggie? Maggie seems like, well, first of all, it doesn't seem like he's being compulsed. It seems like he's being abused
Mhm.
into doing what he does because Beta goes to touch him and he kind of winces and she says, "Oh, he's rough with you," or whatever she says, violent with you. He obviously would have fought a lot more if he was being compulsed to stay around.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what do you guys think about
I would say that his
Magnificent?
payoff is going to be, it's an easy way for the writers to have him give information to Torin and Beta about the mule straight up. Like
Yeah,
even if it's like, it could just be about his personality or
like
his
surface
goals, or
level.
it could be his history of like how he got there. And that could be enough of a reason to keep him around. He doesn't seem like he's like smart. Like he just seems like a kind of like a dim-witted guy that's just, like you're saying, being abused and doing whatever the mule says. So I don't know if there's going to be anything more than that, but it's a choice to have them have stolen him.
Yeah, yeah. And I could see, yeah, like you said, Luke, I could just see him giving some answers when it's needed. But yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, it seems kind of weird to me. He must not be that important to the mule if, like you said, he got the reaction he got out of him, Kyle. But also, I mean, he wasn't like really fighting and freaking out that he was lost.
Yeah.
So,
Well, again, I mean, I don't know if that means he's not important or that just tells us more about the mule himself.
Mm-hmm.
right. That's true. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Well, let's move on.
On to Trantor, and this first scene is the only flashback we're getting this episode, and it's actually where the name of the episode comes from, When a Book Finds You. And this is Dawn's adventure to the library and getting the original manuscript of psychohistory, which then leads him on the cool path to meeting Gail Dornick. Can't say in the flesh, but meeting Gail herself, who then sets up the scene that we got at the end of last episode where she calls him back and says it's time for you to like make your move. I'm not going to describe all the details. I'll let you guys bring up whatever you want, but that is what happens, and I thought it was an awesome way to start this episode.
I think that this Dawn is going to become my favorite Dawn. I think you had said that, alluded to that in the beginning of the episode. Very intelligent. It's not like he's any more intelligent, I guess, than any of the other Dawns, but very naive. How the hell did he assume that Gale was actually there with him in person? I mean, come on, bro. You know, it's going to be a hologram. But I really like the conversation here with Gale and Dawn because it's what we've been talking about for 3 seasons. Gale just laid it out there. The Dawns all have different versions, different layers of and different intensities of the rebellious side of them, the side that wants more than just the 3 Cleons and day, dusk, and dawn, right? And she even brings up the one that goes away with the gardener and the one that goes away last season, which of course we were hoping for some more answers, but I think that's all we're gonna ever get.
Do you think so? I'm so sad because I think so.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
Damn.
I know. But I mean, again, I love that Gail called that out because it is what we've as viewers noticed that Dawn is more susceptible to wanting more, and as they are conditioned into day and then into dusk, it's just pushed and pushed and pushed further down. Unless you're our homie Day right now, there aren't many days that have that rebelliousness anymore. And even Dust says it, and I believe it's in season 2. That's what you're prone to. That's who you are when you're Dawn. And Gail's working it. She knows what she's doing. I mean, she was very like, I mean, I like that Dawn came back to her and was like, yo, you think if you keep talking to me like this, you're going to lose me. All right. I am Dawn. I know what's good. I'm Empire. Stop acting like you're so much better than me.
I like that we got actual confirmation. I know there's been context clues about a lot of this stuff, but even at this point, what is it, 3 years ago, Day was acting like this Day. You know, she mentions that Day's been derelicting duty. Dawn's kind of surprised that she knows that. It's kind of like, I got friends everywhere. Shout out Andor. And I don't know. Again, we have to get more information on that, and we'll explore, I think, that part of the story more in some other scenes we'll talk about with Day specifically. But that was just something that I really noticed and like kind of made a note of like we're getting that confirmation that it's been happening for this long. No, I think especially episode 1, we were kind of like, okay, like how long has it been happening? Has it just been the 6 months? Because they said 6 months, and it's easy for us to just latch on to the actual bit of information we get, but the context clues made it seem like it's been a little longer. But at this point, we're getting an even more extended timeline that Day has been acting like this. And it just feels like, again, we're getting this more explicit information. So we're going to get why. Like, when did it start? Was there like a specific event that's the catalyst? You know, like what is actually going on with him?
Mm-hmm. The only other comments I had here were Jim, you already mentioned the shout out to the first 2 seasons worth of Dawns, but they also say the thing about how face scramblers are all over Trantor thanks to Dawn season 1, which is cool. Callback.
Yep.
One piece of important information, I guess, is that Gale now knows that the Prime Radiant is on Trantor, and she didn't seem surprised that there was a second one because she should have been having the original. So I didn't understand why there wasn't more of a reaction. Maybe she already figured it out in her head that it is always in superposition and like it's everywhere because she's just the smartest person ever, but she didn't react as what I envisioned that she would have. That could be something that comes back into play. And then the last thing was that I just thought that these two have great chemistry. Like I thought that this Dawn's actor was holding his own when Gale is clearly in the position of power, specifically with how especially I should say with how much we know about her, and like she's clear, like it was just a really good scene between these two. With that being said, could you see if these two hook up? No. Is that a possibility?
I don't think so, but I'm not gonna lie. Like when she was having her position of like talking, like kind of like condescending at times, but I thought she was like flirty too a little bit when she was talking.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it could work.
And I don't know that it was supposed to play off that way, but and I don't know if I'm taking it as flirty just because I was like, damn, she's being very confident right now when she's talking to Dawn. And maybe it's because we're not used to characters in general talking to one of the Cleons like that. But to me, maybe it was by design and she knew like she could talk to him that way and he would react a certain way. I mean, he is seeing Gale Dornick and you saw his reaction being like, how are you here right now? She's not Harry Seldon godlike, but she's pretty godlike. And if you're going to talk, quote unquote, everyone drink some kind of religion scenario where, he's like, geez, I've been hearing about, I mean, I know history. You've been gone. You're supposed to be gone 300 years ago. You were in the throne room with Harry Seldon. And she's like, I am the same Gale. This is the same Gale. I mean, I think she knew that it was more of like an all kind of thing. But yes, I took her confidence a little bit as flirty, and I just don't know if it was supposed to be like that or not. But you're not alone, Luke.
Cool.
You just think agree. Yeah, Jimmy, you just think intelligence is attractive.
Could, yeah. Could be.
Yeah, shout out to
I'm thinking family. I'm thinking Family Guy right now with Joe. No one thinks power. But
you were thinking about your own wife, who is also a very intelligent woman.
Well, no, I'm talking about whatever. I'm talking about Family Guy when he's like, no one thinks power is sexy.
Yeah. Not a big wife guy over here. You heard it here first, people. Not a big wife guy. But
I'm Day. I'm more about song. Okay.
It always comes back to that. But one thing I thought was so kind of based off of what Jimmy opened this with about, the Dawns are more susceptible to wanting more, and Gale uses the term an escape hatch, which is interesting. But I think what was maybe most interesting to me was that I felt like the impression out of the first 2 episodes with this Dawn is that he was really team Demerzel. It seemed like he was kind of like attached at her hip, like can tell it was like a mommy type of thing where he like really trusts her and believes in what she says and like her advice and all of those things. And it seems like it's almost maybe been 3 years of him kind of not necessarily undermining her, but he is, maybe not so trustworthy in her. I think just because for the perspective, it seems like he has of humanity versus the actual genetic dynasty, where it seems like he is of the perspective that her mindset is just too limited. It's just he's not a genetic dynasty guy. He is more of a humanity guy.
I think that's a good take on it. Yeah, and it's not Demerzel's fault because she's literally programmed to be like that.
Yeah.
But that's a good take on it because then at that point, Demerzel becomes a means to the end of getting him to the point where like he'll take psychohistory past that. And I think that's why he'd be willing
Right.
to work with Gale.
Yeah. So if this Dawn becomes Dusk and then Brother Darkness, I would say that his nickname should be the Scholar or something like that, just because he is no more intelligent than any other Cleon, obviously. That's the point. But he chose to care this much about history, the numbers, logic, humanity in general. And like you said, Kyle, he definitely was seeming like it was a mommy scenario with Demerzel, but also she's perfect for the Scholar, right? She's exactly what the Scholar of the Cleons would want, the numbers, the X and the O's and the ones and the zeros. I'm thinking love, baby. Look at football, dude. Football's almost back.
You are a what?
Those
I'm
three
thinking
thoughts
love.
combined into one. Yeah.
I'm thinking
I'm thinking
love. I'm
love,
thinking football. So
What are
I
you thinking
think
now?
that I'm thinking I love Demerzel.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, right. We're getting to my point in a second, but I think she's still perfect for him, and he's still listening to her and following her because no matter what, he cares about psychohistory, but he's looking further than she realizes. Now, we've had 3 years pass, and this question was asked, and I think we have the answer, but I want to discuss with you guys. This is in the dark to Demerzel, right? We're not going to get a reveal that he has been speaking with Demerzel about this on the side.
That's my take.
Right.
No.
So our hope that Demerzel's X's and O's, Demerzel's ones and zeros and her logic was going to put her on the side of the Foundation. It's her code's beating her out right now. Beating that whole thing. And it's just going to be that Demerzel is still full on Empire, which is a shame because that's what we wanted, but there's still time.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. She has the capacity in some level to change and adapt and around the margins, so we'll see.
I really think this is going to be the most openly Demerzel versus Day season of all time. Like, I think that's just going to be your storyline. But, you got to sprinkle in the Dawn aspect of it all too. So who knows where that goes. But is there any comment on the skip ahead to where picking up of the conversation at the end of episode 2, where it's just a continued conversation of just Gale warning Dawn about never actually physically meeting with the mule because of the compulsion skills. And she tells him about call for an enclosure of Calgan. I don't know how much we have to discuss there, but
no, I just like the quote of the mules on the board now.
Yes,
yeah,
of course.
me too.
Game of Thrones-esque, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
It's kind of fun. Also, random, and this is probably the last comment I'll have on this whole thing. I like that he being Dawn and he's in the library, calls him Raven Selden. We haven't heard that since episode 1.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
yeah.
Of
I was going to say
season 1.
that.
Yeah, that was like the first scene we saw, and they mentioned him as Raven, and it just completely got dropped, and then they brought it back, which I thought was funny.
It makes sense for the Scholar to say that, but I know we already talked about this with her confidence, but she's really just commanding Dawn. And whatever she's done in the past 3 years with their conversations, he's bought in enough where he sees her as the leader.
I love it. Never thought we were going to have that dynamic going into this season, and I think it's going to be really fun. Okay,
Agreed.
Let's move on, and let's do our first chunk of, I guess it's really 2 scenes of Day being the most just cool guy. I don't even know what to say here. He's just so
if anyone's
cool.
watching YouTube, this is Day, baby.
Yeah. So loose. It's a 2-part scene. One where he goes to the soldier from the gambling scene last episode. We got a name. Is it Maven?
Yes.
Maven. So he goes to Maven, tells him about his plan that he wants to get smuggled off of Trantor with Song without Demerzel knowing. That's the bottom line. And he just wants his help. He's going to need this guy's help. This is when he looks like his absolute coolest because you see the fur robe and he's just crushing it. But then he ends up finding out that Maven is pretty much against it, but then he offers him the cure, which is, I think, a genius way of writing, being the Imperial nanites that are in his blood. And I'm saying it's genius because we were asking, why can't anybody just go cure him? But it's not, it's bigger than that. It's a very limited ability to have this perfect medical cure in you. I'm sure only the 3 Cleons have it. So that makes it even more valuable. I love that little bit of writing. It kind of
And
solves some things. Yeah.
and he's giving it up for the
Right. Yeah.
daughter.
Mm-hmm.
He has to
It's
give it
kind of
away. You can't just say like, "Here's some of my nanites. Here's some of my nanobots or whatever." We saw it before when it's dawn to dawn when they're transferred. You
Yes.
transfer it, they're gone unless it cures her, and then you could be like, "Oh, you're cured now. Give it back." I took it like he was offering the nanites to the commander.
It's more in
Me too.
line with his character of him like permanently sacrificing that ability.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
he's more. He
Um,
wants to be normal, so he doesn't
Yeah.
need to be immortal. He just wants to be a guy. He knows the world's ending anyway.
I'll tell you what, he is a guy.
He is a guy. And dude, the fur coat robe thing with like the skirt thing, whatever's going on, man, just does it for
it's
me.
so cool, man. And his
It's
hair's so long.
It's my ideal
Yep.
look. If he had if his hair and his facial hair were like bleach white, that's my ideal look. If I make it to 60, 65, 70, that is hopefully what I'm looking like.
Dude,
We'll check
that's
in
money. Dusk.
in what? Yeah, like 25 years of future of the podcast.
Yeah, they should have this day make it to dusk. I would love to see Dusk in that form, just like long white hair, like you said, Kyle. He would be doing it. But
I mean, the retirement role would suit him so well. He could just do drugs and paint, probably make a little music,
dude, I'm
make a
sure
little love.
I'm sure the spores and painting would be all he would ever love, dude.
Yeah, right. And a little football.
Just go to Mars and paint. No football.
Little football.
Okay.
That's love
Okay.
right there.
When he's
I did forget to loop in a scene though, and then I'll let you guys keep continuing, which is just Demerzel or Day after talking to Maven goes back and talks to Song and gives her the little tidbit of information that I couldn't in a million years have guessed the payoff of what it would be, but it
Yeah.
is that Demerzel is a robot. And save the robot stuff conversation for later. But
Woo.
is there anything you guys want to talk about before we move into the MULE conversation with the 3 Cleons? Because we'll have time to break that stuff down.
Number one line in the whole episode is that he takes a hit and then just says only 3 people in the galaxy know it, and we're all named Cleon. I thought that was so funny.
I wonder how they do that for filming, because obviously he's not puffing anything. So
Yeah.
it looks so like natural for this day to just be smoking up, doing the thing. But yeah, there's plenty to talk about with the robot stuff, but we'll save it. Continue.
I will say that this scene right here, I wrote in my notes, I thought Song herself might have been a robot. That was my theory at this moment, was like, okay, maybe she's a robot, but obviously.
So my thought, and it'll lead into the robot talk. So I'll just quickly say that I thought she was a spy for Demerzel. Didn't think she was a robot, but I thought she was a spy. And then that I thought I slam dunked it when the signal was given. But
Me
we'll get
too.
there.
Me too. Okay, this next bit of our conversation is just going to revolve around the rest of the stuff with the MULE, which is 2 parts. It's Demerzel, Dawn, and Dusk in the control room talking to the MULE for the first time, and there's something to say about that. Into you flash over to what the MULE was doing after the whole Calgon storyline of him taking over the jump gate and just murdering everybody before doing a really cool monologue about the fate that we kind of already talked about. But this is like a 2-part scene, and I just absolutely love how he's like, "What do you want?" Like as soon as he sees the Cleons for the first time, it's just so good.
It reminded me of no good.
No, go ahead.
It reminded me of, and man, I feel so bad that I can't remember, but there's like a situation in Game of Thrones, and I want to say it has to do with Jon Snow and probably maybe some wildling stuff, of when the MULE is basically like, you're a little boy, man. Like, what do you know about war? Like, what do you know about this life? Like, you throw that word around and you use that to threaten me with, but like, you know, that's me. That's my world. You know nothing about that stuff. And I just like that because I don't want Dawn to be like, I mean, Mary Sue's not the right word. What the heck's the word for a guy? Either way, it doesn't matter. You get the point of like perfect and like all the political stuff works out. You know, we've seen him be a hotshot in some situations. So I'm glad that the MULE kind of steamrolled him in this situation.
I'm thinking Mance Rayder or Stannis in those scenes with Jon Snow at the wall.
Yeah.
One of those two, I believe it could be the conversation. But anyway, yeah, I fully agree with you here. I thought it was a great moment for the mule here, saying, "What the hell do you know, boy, about war? I'm a freaking warlord. I'm going to take that name. I like that name." And what I was going to say, Kyle, was that this Dawn is a Cleon. He's an Empire, and he's probably got talked down to more this episode than any Cleon's gotten talked down to in the 3 seasons. Gale and the Mule via hologram just throwing down with Dawn, basically being like, "We don't care. We don't care your position, your title."
Why would they?
I mean,
they have no
Gale's,
reason to care.
Yeah, exactly, 100%.
Anything else before we? I mean, like with the actual just murder scene that the mule leaves behind.
I'm so interested in what the hell he means by "do you ever feel like your life's not your own, like it's been taken over by some holy spirit?" Initially, I'm like, tell him what's going on here. We know people can take over people's bodies when they're mentalics and they're strong enough. But then also, as we talk and looking back onto the party, is it this concept of fate and things are preordained? I'm not entirely sure, but it's definitely got the wheels turning a little bit.
If you're thinking, Kyle, about the mule having these visions of Gale already, whether it's I know who Gale is or I don't know who Gale is, if he's having these visions, he could see that as my life isn't my own. I feel like I have to find this person, or I feel like I have to take over to get to this point in my life. Could he be having the vision that Gale had? My take is that he knows what point B is. He's at point A. He knows what point B is, and he's just on a track that maybe he doesn't think is his own.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, who's the puppet master here then, really? Is it fate? Is it someone else? Is it Gale? Because she went into the future.
Yes, I love the idea of it being like some sort of dark twist where because she did that, it like set off a chain of events that ended up like resulting in this. But I don't really know because either way, that's a conversation for when we have a little bit more information on how his view of what his mission actually is. Like, does he feel that he's moving? Does he feel that he's like on track? But it's hard to tell because like he's saying, he's just like, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And at the same time, he's not really fighting it. But then he says that line at the very end of this, where he's like, the only way to break through it is by, I didn't write the actual quote, but he's like, by murdering a lot. Didn't he say something along?
Yeah.
So,
well, also right after that, the Gale narrator, the only time I think it happened the whole episode is her basically saying on the surface, the mule was like every other pirate, blah, blah, blah. But underneath all of this, there was a plan taking place in the shadows that would touch every part of the galaxy. And there's a way to read this that's like the mule is a puppet, is like a front for something larger than that. And I don't really like that. And again, that's just one way to interpret it. It's not that it's the answer, but I think that, again, there's a way where you can position yourself in the chair and you could see that is kind of what that means. So
that's crisis number 8.
We'll
down
see.
the line.
Yeah. The one thing I do want to note is just that Dusk is not big on the mule. He doesn't think it's a big deal. This is a theme throughout the rest of the episode. It starts right here with the conversation. He says we should be doing it in person. And Dawn says there's rumors that he can compulse people if you're in person. He's like, yeah, bro. I mean, we're even getting these rumors. Either way, Dawn is going to start being questioned more by Demerzel, which we'll get to because she's making some looks at him.
Yeah.
Dusk and even Day, where he's trying to make some decisions, and they're like, bro, it's a pirate. Who gives a shit? Why do you care so much?
That's like the curse of Dawn is just that they get caught almost every time. Like whatever their feelings are. I guess the one that ended up away with Sarah almost did. Before Demerzel caught him. But either way, I'm gonna gloss over the song and Day scene that we get next, which is when he goes back and they talk about the plan that he has in place, and she ends up saying, well, maybe we shouldn't leave. Like we should stay near Demerzel. She has the plan. We can talk about all of that in the next time we come back to the villa. So let's do this 2-part scene, which is a really politically motivated part of in the throne room, like a conversation into just something I didn't know my soul needed of the 3 Cleons bonding over the ritual. Because my God, that was a beautiful moment of the brothers being brothers for the first time, like maybe ever on the screen through these 3 seasons. But more importantly, not my heart, is the conversation about Dawn trying to do the enclosure on Calgon and Demerzel laying out the pros and the cons of this. I was a little surprised at how easy Dawn decided to not pursue Gale's plan of forcing the enclosure, but Demerzel does say that if you do this, it's going to push the Galactic Council away from us, and you're going to lose power. So you can't do this. And this is probably the last main decision that Center Throne Day is going to actually have authority over. And he says, "No, we're not doing this." And then they're all like sitting on the throne. I don't know, you guys caught that cinematography moment. They're all there, and they all grab their chin at the same time. That was a really cool moment. And then they bond, and it ends on a really happy note.
Well, I think it would have been more suspicious if Dawn pushed even further. Like we just said that it's like Dusk and Demerzel are looking at him funny, but I feel like the explanation of the fact that we're literally looking at the Prime Radiant telling us that civilization is going to end, and it started happening right around the time we started hearing about this Mule guy, is more than enough of a cover and an explanation to what Dawn is doing. But I think if he pushed even more, they could ask even more questions, and then how much do you trust yourself to keep it all inside? So I feel like it's all going, I wouldn't say as planned, but just I see the reasoning behind some of these things.
Agreed. And I'm just staring at Demerzel the entire time now, anytime she's in the room, just because we know her deal. We know that she's the puppet master in the Empire, at least. And I'm not going to say she wasn't happy, but she was a little suspicious and giving some looks when he was fighting back about how important this enclosure is. And she seemed surprised and happy that they actually made the right decision, in her eyes, the right decision. And yes, the freaking bonding was awesome. Having a little wisdom, each of them just pounded it down. What do you think they were drinking? What do you think was in there?
It's got to be heavy shit, because Day's always high as hell. Like it's got to be something that can break through.
Did you guys have a guess what it was gonna be? Did you guess it was gonna be like a? I was like, what are they gonna do here when they're talking about it? And I knew it had to be something fun. What did you think I was saying?
I think did we have a guess of what was in the flask? And I was like, no, it's alcohol.
Kyle, are you telling me you don't have a guess on what type of alcohol was in there? Gin?
That is what I'm telling you.
No, but I'm just saying I was trying my hardest to try to guess what Day was referring to. And I'm like, it has to be something funny because this Day likes it.
So the Dusk was like, he's like, I don't have it. He's like, you got it. He's like, I got it. He just whips out the flask.
Yeah.
And we know from earlier in the season, this Dawn doesn't drink. So that's why he was reacting the way that he was like, ugh, like throwing up.
Yep.
Yeah. Would you have been surprised if he pulled out the old pigskin?
I would have loved that, Kyle.
Strength, wisdom, and fortitude, baby. A little American football out there in the throne room. Imagine Dawn going deep. Dawn going deep. Dusk, obviously steady QB.
Yeah, Dusk is
just like we just like we used to in the garden, boys.
Yeah.
Love it.
Okay. So let's do this, and this is going to be our last conversation. We're actually making pretty great time compared to our usual pace here, so we can flesh this out as much as we want. And this is going to be everything to do with Song and Demerzel, because after the fun scene in the throne room, Day ends up going back to the villa. He actually first talks to Maven, who's agreeing to do the whole smuggle plan. He's going to help get him out, and he has a whole plan laid out for him, basically. But what happens when Day gets back? Demerzel, of course, is still there, and they have this conversation. We get introduced to this ancient illegal religion called the Inheritance, which its origin was from the planet that song is from. And the whole idea is that they worship robots, and they always thought that robots were going to come back and basically bring salvation to everybody. Super cool world building. I do think it would have been cool if it got subtly Seed Planet earlier, but at
Yeah.
the same time, I love how this turned out, because I couldn't imagine that when Demerzel caught Song doing the symbol earlier, that it was anything other than her being a spy. And then the
Right.
fact that it was like a religious symbol, it was awesome, because this is going to, and then we also had the conversation earlier where Day really drove into the idea of why he calls her it. And like, that's something Kyle called out from episode 1. So that was good. But like, this is really going to be the final riff that I think is going to push Day to now be almost like, he's probably going to be willing to be an agent of the Foundation or anything to get back at Demerzel for what she's doing here, because he is just freaking the hell out. And then the one cool line before I pass it over to you guys is that Demerzel does say, like, my directive means I had to stop this, but I could have killed her, and I chose as like a mother figure to you to spare her. So that's her still trying to mend this relationship at some level, but of course Day doesn't care, and I think that's going to be the final straw, because he's already calling her it, and now I think he would be willing to do anything to undermine her, because at this point he doesn't care.
The inheritance, huh?
Mhm.
Little religion, pretty convenient. I think it's awesome, but it was kind of like, as I was watching, and I was like, oh, okay.
Do you think that Callie is a god of the inheritance, a robot? So let me just say to both of you, we've been talking about this already. We talked about it in season 2, but we're talking about it more in season 3. They're giving us more information about robots than we need for this TV show, seemingly. I mean, we love it when we get it. Me and Luke and Kyle, you could tell me if you felt this way or not. I mean, you thought she might have been a robot, but well, I mean, you didn't say it out loud yet if you thought she was a spy when she gave the mark. But what I'm saying is, we called out while we're watching, wow, she's a spy. He got, right? You could have easily made it that. Nobody would be like, oh, okay, she's a spy. Like, that is a perfectly fine way to storytell here, that Demerzel would have put a spy with a rogue Day to watch him so she could be up to date on anything he's doing if he's doing anything sketchy. But instead, they decided to create this religion and make her a religious figure, basically, meaning Demerzel, and to Song. I don't know. Are we going to have, is it the robot's going to be more of a thing than we ever realized from season 1? I feel like they're just giving us way more than we need, and for the second time, I love it. But
yeah,
are
probably
they telling us something?
A good part of the episode to note, and I can maybe just reiterate probably the best word there, of that we haven't read any of the books, so we have no idea. Is the inheritance something in the books? Totally could be. Is this exactly how it happens? Totally could be. It just feels like it was like, oh, okay, now we have this ancient thousands-year-old illegal religion that is popping up at quite a convenient time for the exact situation it's needed in. But again, I say it like that because that's how it felt in the moment, but I actually don't care that much.
Right.
I hope,
I mean,
maybe it gets fleshed out, because like you've said, Jimmy, all of the robot stuff, the robot lore, it's just very interesting. And I know, and we're still sitting on this idea of who the hell is this Calais, whoever that saved Harry, who took him through the portal in the last episode. I know one of our good friends on YouTube told us to rewatch the scene, and I did rewatch the scene, and I interpreted it the same way that I did on the episode, of like, because we can't. She was saying we, as in we're part of a group. She is part
like
of
a
a group.
species or something.
Yeah.
Like, right? Yeah.
You
A
know,
type of person. Yeah.
and what is that? So who can say? Could they be robots that survived and did something else? Who can say? But that seems like the answer, that with all of the clues that I'm able to see, like you've just mentioned, Jimmy, of they're going out of their way for a lot of these things to add more and more robot stuff. I just can't help but land on that.
I really don't know of any way they could have really organically brought this up though, except maybe in episode 1 when they're telling the story about the Gear Wars or the Robot Wars. And they could have said, like, she could have said, yeah, there was like the faction of humans that were
I
really
mean,
trying to break this up because like she said, it's been extinct almost, and it's illegal, I guess is a better way to say it.
I feel like
So
season 1, that she had a whole religious arc in season 1. Demerzel did.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
There's
Again,
definitely times where you could have brought
it
it up
don't
if you
matter.
wanted to bring it up, and I think the consensus here is we're not really caring that it was brought
No.
up. It's just that it's number one convenient, but number two, are you trying to tell us something? Go ahead, Luke.
For what it's worth, I'm still more annoyed at the Galactic Council thing. Even if they were mentioned here or there, that seems like too big of a thing to sideline versus a nearly extinct and illegal religion that was not relevant for thousands and thousands of years. Like that seems like it's something I obviously brought up because I said it in my summary of the scene, but it didn't bother me nearly to the level of how much they should have dove into the importance of the Galactic Council. But again, we all nitpick on different things, and this is just one that I'm totally fine with for now.
Yeah, I couldn't disagree more.
Yeah, it's fine.
We have fun.
I think that I really do think that the song stuff, though, going with the religious side of things is interesting because Song wasn't a spy. She was the homie for Day. They were going to leave together. I don't know if it's love. I've been talking a lot about love here, Kyle. I don't know if they played football together ever, but
Yeah.
I do know that they were companions that were about to roll out together, and she was fully in. But then it was something that she probably would have never thought in her entire life she would hear. Day says
Right.
that Demerzel's a robot, and that is what changes her, and she's not a spy. She is a person who deeply believes in a religion where robots are godlike, and something very out of nowhere made her
It's
become technically the
it's
spy for
it's
Demerzel.
literally like if Christianity was outlawed and then Jesus Christ is resurrected in front of you, you'd be like, holy shit! Like, okay, we're back, baby.
My boyfriend is like, yo, by the way, that's
Mhm.
Jesus Christ. You're like,
Yeah,
what?
exactly. That's literally what the situation is. It's so funny.
I do
Um,
wonder how they keep people from not realizing that Demerzel has never changed in appearance. Are there any lifers that work in the palace? Like how are they? How often are they editing people's memories?
Well, I know
They
that a lot of
mentioned.
people.
Sorry.
I know that a lot of people just assume she's cloned
Mhm.
because
Okay,
Sereth brings it up,
Yeah.
and
there
she
you go.
says like
That's what it is.
yeah. So I think there's just assumptions about it, and again, it is smart. I was gonna throw down with you, not really throw down, but I was gonna argue that well, during lifetimes they just die off and she's still alive. But you're right, lifers at the castle or whatever castle, where the workers, if they're around, they would be like, she's looking pretty good for 100 years old,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But no, the cloning
But
thing makes a lot of sense, and it's like if
yeah,
everyone assumes that robots have been eradicated for thousands of years, it wouldn't be your first thought. It's obviously easy for us because we know
right.
to be like,
Mhm. And we
And
did
that's
mention already that Song had all of her memories erased of this too, right?
yeah.
I don't know if I said that. Do you
yes.
think that there is any possibility that Day is actually going to go chase her to that planet, or is he going to focus on getting his revenge where he is?
I think Song's
Honestly,
done.
tell me that he doesn't seem like someone who would enjoy hanging out with the mule.
Dude. Totally
Yeah.
just let life be life, dude. Let things be. Let's just do the damn thing.
I mean, Calgon
Make
itself
some
being the
scores
pleasure
and
planet, but adding the mule on top of it, where that seems like
He's got
exactly where he'd want to
motivation
go.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
yeah.
I could see
And
it.
for Demerzel, I know we just covered Murderbot, and I'm thinking when Murderbot can like tie into everything on the ships and see all the cameras and hear everything that's being said. The scene where Song is talking to Day and Day's like, shh, and it's just like down the corridor, and he's like, okay, we're good now. I know Day is paranoid and Song says it, and hilariously says, you don't need any more spores. You're being too paranoid. I would be a million times more paranoid if I was Day, because I would just feel like Demerzel could do that. Just get into all the
Yeah.
cameras, do anything she wants as a robot, just be constantly surveilling me.
Yeah. I think I'm good. I don't know how much else you guys have to throw out as parting shots, but that's pretty much the episode.
Yeah, I have one parting shot that has little to nothing to do with the episode. So, Jimmy, if you want to throw any actual foundation things out there before I speak.
No, I think this was a
Okay,
great
then I'll talk.
episode. Do it.
Now, go ahead. I'm playing with you.
No, I don't even want to go anymore, dude.
Okay, cool. That's actually better for me. So, when Dawn is in the library and he's handling the books and the scrolls, and when the librarian says, like, no, like gloves would actually make it worse. True fact.
Really?
Yeah. Well, not something you would maybe think of. And I learned this. This is the reason why I'm bringing this up, because again, I love all of you. I want to play football with all of you guys. And if you're on TikTok, there is a guy. His name is Reed Moon. Great name. But I get the account is called at Moon's Rare Books. And this guy just, I'll say flexes, but he doesn't really do it that way. He has one of the greatest rare book collections I've ever seen in my life. And he's always just barehanded everything. And he says, the gloves don't really do much. It's okay.
Wow.
So he has like first edition.
The oils and stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess he said, as long as you have clean hands, then
okay.
Oh, that's
you're,
cool.
Yeah, you're Jay chilling. He has like first edition Bible doesn't sound like the right way to say it, because that probably can't be true, but just some crazy stuff. So if you're into that kind of stuff, very cool account to follow. It's very fun. He has all like first edition mangas too. He has just like a lot of cool shit. Yeah.
And that just sparked something in me. That was the first time we ever saw the librarian in this episode, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
From what I remember.
We won't see her again, most likely. Unless she's like she could be an appendage of the foundation, or I guess it would be the second foundation if she's in contact with Gale on some level.
Yeah. It's just interesting that Gale has like a network out there. Like they're laying almost traps to find like-minded people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they do say that they got a lot better at dispersing and looking for mentalics, but I guess you can also assume that means increasing the spy network, increasing your influence over even places like Trantor. My big takeaways from this episode were you guys talking about Big Pritch being a mentalic. I got my eye on that. I like that a lot. The mule winning me over. And then just this extra robot talk with Demerzel. I really wonder if they're going to say Calais is going to be a robot, and we're moving something bigger in the story than just Demerzel. But again, it'll be probably a little bit longer until we find anything else out about that. But otherwise, guys, that was it. Episode 3. Luke, do we have IMDb scores yet for 1 and 2? Did we say them? I mean, you don't have to do it if you don't want. I was just asking.
We'll catch you guys up at the beginning of next episode. After we'll have 3 episodes worth of information.
Yeah, well, the point I was trying to make was that this is a strong season 3 so far. Strong first 3 episodes. Really enjoying this TV show. I hope you guys are enjoying the coverage as well as the TV show. Did I say? We will be focusing on Foundation season 3 for the core podcast. Right now, that's our focus. We had Murderbot prior. There are some very good Apple TV shows right now. Smoke is I believe 4 or 5 episodes in. The Jason Momoa show is coming in August. There's a lot of great stuff coming, but we're going to be focusing on Foundation. We might check in on a couple other shows in the meantime. But if you're looking for other coverage that's not Apple TV Plus, check us out at the Binge Empire podcast. We're covering Dexter Resurrection, The Institute, and The Sandman. But we have Alien Earth coming. We have Stranger Things coming. We have Gen V coming. We have so much coming on that feed. So there's 7 podcast hosts. Me, Kyle, and Luke are some of them. So if you enjoy our coverage, we're over there. I'm covering Binge Empire currently. Kyle and Luke, you're not on anything. You guys don't need to be.
Yeah, we're not coming.
They're not over on Binge Empire, but maybe they will eventually. All right, guys. I hope to see you. on the football field.
All right. What a great way to wrap that one up. Yeah, hit us up
All
on
right,
Discord.
guys. Hit us up on Discord at BingetownTV.com/Discord. Once again, we are the Core Podcast, and thank you so much for listening.